My whole left hand looking like a life new petty, new petty. If I see it, I like it, go get it. So brand new fake bougie. You so fake bougie right now. This shit is crazy. I don't know where all this fake bougie shit came from. Right, bitch. Yeah, please do something, please.
This is Quelicia Barnes, a 36 years old living in Atlanta. She was 14 weeks pregnant, and on the most random morning, she was found shot 4 times in the face while sitting in her own car.
That's right. 11 Alive's Chase Howell spoke to the family who believes she may have been targeted because she was pregnant.
According to the family of Quelicia Barnes, she was 14 weeks pregnant when she was shot 4 times in the face.
Her mother told the news she did not just get murdered, she was set up. And before this video is over, you are going to understand exactly why that word means everything in this case. Now, before we get into what happened on that street in Southeast Atlanta, we need to talk about who Quelicia Barnes was, because the headlines have been calling her a rapper, and moving on like that is the whole story. It is not even close to the whole story. Quelicia was born in Detroit, Michigan, sometime around November of 1989 or 1990. Detroit shaped her in every way. The music she made, the attitude she carried, the relationships she built, all of it had Detroit's fingerprints on it.
I've been getting to this money. Where you been at? Where your watch? Where your chain? Where your kid at? Where your purse? Where your crib? Where you live at? Little bum bitches acting brand new. You would break down if you knew what your man do.
Even after she moved to Atlanta around 2016, her Instagram bio told you everything you needed to know about how she saw herself. From the D to A, from Detroit to Atlanta. She never let go of where she came from. Her rap name was Sidity, sometimes written as So Sidity, and if you know what that word means in Black American culture, you already understand her whole vibe. Sidity means a woman who is glamorous, fashionable, and not apologizing for any of it. Her mother, Francine Lopez Stewart, said it herself. She loved makeup, dressing up, and beauty. She was Sidity.
Look at Lily.
I got some to Shakespeare.
Yeah.
That name was not just a stage persona, it was genuinely who she was. Now, the music was real. In November of 2021, she released a full album called Diddity of My City, and it had features from Ware Vezzo, Babyface Ray, and Team Eastside Peasy. If you follow Detroit Rap, you know those are not small names. Ware Vezzo and Babyface Ray were two of the biggest acts coming out of that city at that time, and getting them on your project means you had real standing in the scene. She also had an earlier track called Get a Check featuring Peasy that had an official video out before the album, and she had a small acting role in a 2022 indie film called Detroit Dreams, which was centered around Detroit's music world. She was not a person playing at being in the industry, she was in it. On top of the music, she was the CEO and founder of Socidity Boutique, a registered Georgia LLC she started in March of 2021. The boutique sold women's fashion online, including customized fur coats, heels, and trendy pieces that matched her whole brand. Her personal Instagram had over 100,000 followers, and the boutique page had around 11,000. She was building a brand that connected her music persona directly to a business that was making money. And then there's the part that does not get mentioned enough. Quelicia was in nursing school, not just enrolled, actually performing. According to her mother, she was on the dean's list and had only about 2 semesters left before she would have finished her degree as a registered nurse. She was managing a music career, running a clothing business, maintaining the grades to make the dean's list, and she was pregnant. That is a woman who is in complete control of her life and moving fast towards something bigger.
Generally, if you met Lily, you instantly loved her. And she was such a jokester, you know. She liked to laugh and she always cracking jokes on me.
Barnes' mom, Francine Lopez Stewart, says her rap name fits her perfectly.
She loved makeup, she loved dressing up, she loved beauty. So, and she was a ditty.
But Barnes wasn't just a rapper. She was also an aspiring nurse.
She made the dean's list. She had like 2 more semesters to go. She was so proud of herself and we were so proud of her.
Her sister, Shatara Davis, described a bond that went beyond family in the usual sense. They lived together, shared a room, knew each other's moods and habits the way only the people closest to you ever do.
I know her as Quelicia. I know her as Lily. I know her as we in the same house, in the same bed. That's what I know her as. All that friend stuff, I don't care about none of that. That was my sister.
Now, here's the thing about Quelicia's personal life that becomes very important later in this story. She kept it completely private. Her social media was all music, all fashion, all business, all hustle. There were no tagged photos with a partner, no announcements about relationships, nothing that gave the public any window into who she was dating or who was in her life in that way. So when her family revealed after her death that she was 14 weeks pregnant, the whole internet stopped and started asking the same question. Who was the father? And could that pregnancy be the reason somebody wanted her dead? That question is what this whole case is built around. And we're going to get into it. But first, let's talk about what happened on that street in Southeast Atlanta and how it all went wrong. On April 8, 2026, just after 1:20 in the morning, Atlanta police got a call about a person shot on the 2900 block of Springside Place in Southeast Atlanta. When officers arrived, what they found was not what a random shooting looks like. There was a white Range Rover Sport sitting in the middle of the residential street, not pulled over, not parked near a curb, just stopped in the road. Quelicia was in the driver's seat. She had multiple gunshot wounds and she was not moving. Emergency services arrived and pronounced her dead right there at the scene.
Developing news tonight, a pregnant rapper from Detroit is murdered in Atlanta. She was shot 4 times in the face this week. And her family tells us they have a good idea why she was targeted and killed. Know her as Quelicia Barnes. Followers of Detroit and Atlanta hip-hop know her as Sadiddy.
Probably because I know I'm worth a milli.
Quelicia and her family are all from Southwest Detroit. She's been in Atlanta for a decade. The 36-year-old was 14 weeks pregnant, shot 4 times in the face in the middle of the night while in a car in Atlanta this week.
I heard gunshots, like maybe 4 or 5 gunshots, and then a car, Honda, just flew up the street. Like 20, 30 minutes later, the cops everywhere.
Atlanta police say it looks like someone shot through the windshield and drove off. They're using security video to piece it all together. Quelicia's family says she was targeted because she was pregnant.
We've got a general idea of the route that was taken, so we're going to have to backtrack some information to figure out the exact circumstance, if anybody was with her or not.
On top of her music, Quelicia was 2 semesters out from earning a nursing degree that will never be. Family, though, says they're going to get whoever did this.
The Fulton County Medical Examiner came out and they confirmed to the press that the shots were fired from outside the vehicle. Someone walked up to her car or pulled up next to it and fired directly at her through the window. Her family told 11 Alive she was hit 4 times in the face. Lieutenant Christopher Butler, who leads the Atlanta Police Homicide Unit, told reporters that the shooter fired into the car and struck her multiple times. He also said that investigators were still working to figure out the exact route Quelicia traveled that night and whether she was alone or had someone with her. One neighbor who spoke to Fox 5 Atlanta said they heard 4 or 5 gunshots and then heard a car driving away. Now, let's be real about what those details are telling us. 4 shots to the face from outside the car. No signs of a robbery, no signs of a crash inside the vehicle. Police even noted that she did not appear to be connected to any of the houses on that block. So what was she doing on that street at 1:30 in the morning? That's the question police are trying to answer right now. Either she was on her way to meet someone in that neighborhood and someone was waiting for her, or she was followed there without knowing it and they caught her when she stopped. There is no version of that scene that looks like the wrong place at the wrong time. This was planned. Lieutenant Butler put out a direct call to the community for help, saying that cameras, neighbors, and anonymous tips were the 3 biggest tools investigators had at that point. He said investigators had reviewed the general route Quelicia traveled and were working backward to piece together the full picture.
A woman is dead in Southeast Atlanta. Police say she was found shot in a car that was parked in the middle of the street on Springside Place. Thanks for being with us. I'm Brooks Baptiste. Atlanta News First Sarah Hammond joins us live from police headquarters. Sarah, what do we know about this investigation and where it stands?
Well, Atlanta police were at the scene for about 4 hours this morning trying to piece together what exactly happened when they found a woman in her 30s dead in her car. Atlanta police responded to Springside Place in southeast Atlanta around 1:30 this morning to find a 36-year-old woman dead in her car.
We're still working the scene and just trying to make sense of what happened this evening.
Lieutenant Christopher Butler said in the early stages of the investigation, it appears someone fired into the SUV. He said the woman was found in the driver's seat with several gunshot wounds. He also said they don't know if the woman lives in the neighborhood off of Cleveland Avenue.
We're still looking for video cameras in the area. We know that we've got a general idea of the route that was taken, so we're going to have to backtrack some information to figure out the exact circumstance, if anybody was with her or not.
The Range Rover was towed away from the scene just after 5:30 this morning, and Lieutenant Butler said cameras, neighbors, and anonymous tips are 3 huge assets in figuring out not only what happened here overnight, but any crime scene they're called to investigate.
We push Crime Stoppers a lot, 44577 tips. That really is valuable to us. People don't really understand it, and it is anonymous, so if anybody has information, they can call in and leave a tip, and we really do appreciate those tips. They're very valuable.
And police have not yet publicly identified the woman who was killed. They also have not released any type of suspect information at this time, but of course we will keep you updated as soon as we learn more from police.
Now, when the family started speaking publicly, they made a specific claim. Quelicia's mother, Francine Lopez Stewart, told reporters she believed her daughter was set up and that more than one person needed to face consequences.
A rapper's family speaking out after she was found shot to death in Atlanta. Why they say she was targeted. Hey, thank you so much for joining us here on 11 Alive and streaming on 11 Alive Plus. I'm Faith Jesse.
And I'm Cheryl Preheim. We begin with a story you'll only see here on 11 Alive News. A rapper's family identifies her as the woman shot to death in southeast Atlanta.
That's right. 11 Alive's Chase Howell spoke to the family who believes she may have been targeted because she was pregnant.
According to the family of Quelicia Barnes, she was 14 weeks pregnant when she was shot 4 times in the face.
Probably because I know I'm worth a million.
You may know her by her stage name, Diddy.
The only Diddy in my city with a lit wrist.
But those closest to her know her as a daughter and a sister.
I know her as Quelicia. I know her as Lily. I know her as we in the same house, in the same bed. That's what I know her as. All that friend stuff, I don't care about none of that. That was my sister. That was my baby.
Give us the strength that we need to survive.
Hand in hand in prayer, the family of Quelicia Barnes asked God for strength while coming to terms with her senseless killing. And it's moments like this that are helping them deal with her death.
Generally, if you met Lily, you instantly loved her. And she was such a jokester, she liked to laugh and she always cracking jokes on me.
Barnes's mom, Francine Lopez Stewart, says her rap name fits her perfectly.
She loved makeup, she loved dressing up, she loved beauty. So, and she was a Diddy.
But Barnes wasn't just a rapper. She was also an aspiring nurse.
She made the dean's list. She had like 2 more semesters to go. She was so proud of herself and we were so proud of her.
As for what justice looks like, Lopez Stewart says seeing not just one person held responsible, but multiple, because she believes her daughter was set up.
If you instigate something that causes a murder, then you need some kind, you need something. I think you need to go to jail too.
According to Barnes's family, she had been living in the metro Atlanta area for about 10 years. As far as the investigation into who may have killed her, Atlanta police says that's still under investigation.
When a mother says instigate, she's not talking about the person who pulled the trigger. And the fact that she's using that kind of language publicly less than 48 hours after her daughter's body was found tells you that this family has some kind of feeling about where this came from, even if they're not ready to say the name out loud. The family also said plainly that they believe the pregnancy was part of why she was targeted. They described losing both Quelicia and her unborn child as a double loss that words could not cover. Quelicia hadn't even made a public announcement about the pregnancy. Whoever knew about it was someone close to her. And that's where we have to talk about another case, because what happened to Quelicia is not the first time a pregnant black woman in Georgia was shot in her car by someone who had a personal reason to want her gone. That case ended with a guilty plea, a life sentence, and a story that mirrors what we're watching right now in ways that should make everyone uncomfortable. In October of 2021, about 60 miles southwest of Atlanta, a 28-year-old woman named Akeila Ware was driving her car along Highway 18 in Troup County, Georgia, when someone in another vehicle pulled up alongside her and opened fire. Her Honda Accord was hit with multiple bullets. She was found in the driver's seat, seriously wounded, and was rushed by ambulance to a hospital in Columbus, Georgia, where she and her unborn baby were both pronounced dead.
A gut-wrenching story out of Troup County, where a pregnant 29-year-old mother of 5 was killed in what authorities believe was a drive-by shooting.
Akeila Ware's killer is still out there on the streets, and her family is desperate for answers and justice. They spoke with Fox 5's Patty Pan about their devastating loss.
Akeila Ware's family is pleading for the public's help in finding the person or people responsible for this crime. The 29-year-old was shot and killed while driving down the road. Both she and her unborn child died from those injuries.
Like you're just gonna wake up, out of it, and it's, just not gonna be true. It's not gonna be so,
Twyla Ware's heart has been ripped open. This mother could barely talk about her daughter Akeila's sudden death, a beautiful soul lost too soon. Troup County investigators say they were called out to State Route 18 near East Drummond Road Tuesday for a vehicle crash just before 1 in the afternoon. That's when they say they found the 29-year-old LaGrange woman in her car unresponsive. Firefighters had to extricate Ware from the car, and that's when we're told they noticed the bullet holes on the driver's side door.
We don't believe it was random. We do believe that the suspect knew this victim and the victim knew the suspect, but we don't have a good enough name to put out there yet, but we're certainly working all the leads.
Detectives believe she was shot at and then her car went off the road and slammed into a tree. The incident happened in broad daylight.
Very bold and very cold and very callous just to do this, and that's why we certainly want to put a name with a shooter, and so we can get that person, or if there were other people involved, get both of those people in custody.
Ware, whom families say was a registered nurse, has 5 children and was pregnant again at the time. Neither she nor her unborn child survived the injuries.
Akeila, she was a very smart, bright young lady. If anybody have any information, please come forward. Do it for us, her family, her kids especially.
Troup County authorities say that this is a top priority for their department. They believe that second car involved is possibly a silver Nissan with front end damage. Anyone with any information is being urged to call authorities or Crime Stoppers.
Akeila was 33 weeks pregnant with a boy. She was a registered nurse and a mother of 5 children who were still alive. She was a woman who, by every account from her family and friends, was loving, hardworking, and moving toward a better life. Troup County Sheriff James Woodruff called the crime very bold, very cold, and very callous, and said he could not believe someone had done that to a young mother who was also carrying a baby. Now here is where it gets familiar. The man who killed Akeila Ware was Alonzo Dargan Jr., a United States Army Staff Sergeant who was stationed at Fort Bragg in North Carolina. He and Akeila had grown up in the same area of Troup County. They went to school together. At the time of the murder, they were in a relationship, and Dargan was the biological father of the baby Akeila was carrying. He was also, at the same time, married to another woman. Investigators identified Dargan as a suspect within days because the physical evidence from the scene linked his silver Nissan Altima to the shooting. Army Criminal Investigation Division agents arrested him at Fort Bragg just 2 days after the murder. His car was seized as evidence and he was sent back to Georgia to face charges.
This U.S. soldier is now in custody facing several charges in the murder of a pregnant woman from LaGrange, Georgia. And that woman, Akeila Ware, the 29-year-old who was shot at the intersection of Highway 18 and Whitesville Road. And today, investigators revealed some brand new information about exactly what happened. CBS 46's Savannah Louie has more now from Troup High School, where the pair met years ago. Savannah, what have you learned?
Mother, she tells me that not only did her daughter go to school with a man they think killed Akeila, but also she was pregnant with his child, and that could have been one of the reasons behind her tragic death.
So, and I just want everybody to know what a great person my daughter, was.
A shimmering tribute on an otherwise dull highway is a parallel to the bright spark from 29-year-old Akeila Ware.
She was always, making you laugh with something silly. Whenever you pick up the phone, she's going to say something silly, or is she going to send you something silly?
Twyla Ware says phone calls and messages from her daughter made her laugh almost every day. But now this heartbroken mother realizes those won't come anymore.
It's been awful, and it was just overwhelming, just the way it went about.
Tuesday afternoon, Akeila was found inside her car on the side of Highway 18 in Troup County, riddled with bullet holes. This mother of 5, who was 33 weeks pregnant with a 6th, died shortly after arriving at the hospital.
That's very terrible news to have to hear from anybody, especially when it's one of your children and a grandchild, even if it's unborn.
Police used vehicle evidence to connect this man, Alonzo Dargan Jr., to Akeela's death. He was the father of her unborn child, someone she knew from high school.
It wasn't any red flags. No, it wasn't. And about 3 months ago or so, she messaged me, and they was out together, and she joked and laughed.
Dargan was an active member of the U.S. military with a wife and children. The U.S. military arrested him in North Carolina Wednesday. He faces charges of feticide, possession of a firearm during the commission of a crime, and murder of a woman lost far too soon.
Akeila, she was just as beautiful inside as out. She was real kind, just a real special person.
He was charged with malice murder, felony murder, feticide, which is the legal term for killing an unborn child, aggravated assault, and possession of a firearm during a crime. In January of 2023, about a year and a half after the murder, Alonzo Dargan Jr. stood in a Troup County courtroom and pleaded guilty to all of those charges. He was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole until he had served 60 years. He will die in prison. His wife, Brianna Dargan, gave one interview after the sentencing. She said she did not know what happened that day and may never fully understand it. She described their family life before the murder as happy and called him an amazing father to their children. She said no one won in this situation, including her own kids who now grew up without their father in their lives. No one won. That is the truth of all of these cases. The woman loses her life. The baby never gets to be born. The children left behind grow up carrying something heavy, and the man who did it trades whatever he had for a cell. Now, look at the parallels between Akeila's case and Quelicia's case, because they are hard to ignore. Both were black women in Georgia who were shot from outside their vehicles by someone who had a personal reason to be there. Both were pregnant at the time of their death. In both cases, the family immediately suspected the killing was personal and connected to the pregnancy. And in both cases, the execution-style nature of the shooting, close range and deliberate, pointed investigators away from random crime and towards someone who knew the victim. The difference right now is that in Akeila's case, the physical evidence left a trail almost immediately. A car, a relationship, a presence in the area. In Quelicia's case, because she kept her personal life so locked down, the trail is less visible right now. But Lieutenant Butler confirmed that investigators have cameras to review, a neighborhood to canvass, and a route to trace. The evidence is out there, it just has not been found yet. Georgia law also treats the killing of an unborn child the same way Troup County treated Akeila's baby. Feticide is a separate charge, meaning whoever killed Quelicia Barnes did not just commit one murder. Under Georgia law, they committed two. And somewhere out there, someone knows who did this. They got a call that night and knew what was going to happen before it happened. Quelicia's mother believes the people who set this up are just as guilty as whoever pulled the trigger, and she has called for all of them to face prison. Quelicia Barnes had 2 semesters left in nursing school. She had a boutique that women were buying from. She had music out with real Detroit artists. She had a baby growing inside her that she had chosen to keep. She had a whole life that was going somewhere good, and someone made a decision to end all of it on a quiet Atlanta street in the middle of the night. Her sister Shatara put it the only way that matters. That was my sister. That was my baby. Do you think the baby daddy did this? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let us know what you think. Click on one of the cards on your screen to see more videos like this one. See you in the next one.